The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for the today webinar. We are pleased to invite our guest speaker, Ms. Tyler from Credit Hound Solutions. She's going to present the topic for the 600 user. How do you accelerate the cash flow, get the paid faster, and increase the efficiency for 6300 environment? Let's see what do we have for today. These are the agenda for today. So challenges for 600 user, we are going to show you how and what is the solution by tackling some of the key challenges that we propose today. The tips and tricks, and what is the benefit if we are going to consider with Credit Hound solution, what can you do with that? And we show you a demo of how and now to do it. The next one is about the 600 capabilities. With the capabilities as what we build on, we want to make sure that 300 users are saving your money while investing in the technology. This is very familiar challenge to many finance departments. The accounting team, and also to finding a balance between these two is the key to success to keep the pace with today's market. Now, as you grow, your business grow, and your finance team expand, your needs will change. This means that the current 600 ERP will also need to keep up. The 600 right now is uniquely positioned to help your company grow and only add the required module or the add-ons confidently that you need. Let's see how to extend the power of 600 today to meet the specialized needs of your business solution. We're going to call the 600 some of the key themes that we have for the upcoming webinar. We say about the digital transformation. We talk about how to simplify the business processes. We also want to make sure that the whole finance accounting team and your business operation are able to improve the productivity and efficiency. But having said that, we also want to make sure that we are individually helping the company to transform and supercharge the business for the overall, whether it's calendar year or FY. We as a team are moving together. I'm going to pass the airtime to our speaker, Tyler, to showcase of the key challenges and the agenda for next week. Over to you.
Thanks, Lynn, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the session today. My name's Tyler Bremner. I'm Global Partner Manager here at Dracer, and today I'm really excited to talk you through Credit Hound. So I'll explain a bit about who we are first of all, some of the common accounts receivables business challenges that customers like yourselves may be facing, how we can help solve them. As Lynn said, I'll then show you Credit Hound in action, and we can also have a Q&A session at the end. So let's get started. So who are Dracer? So we're a UK-based company, and we have a development office based in Thailand. We've been running for over 20 years, and we've actually been working with Sage since the very start, and through the channel globally, helping customers improve their cash flow with Credit Hound. And as a product, Credit Hound's used by thousands of organisations worldwide, varying in size from small businesses right up to large enterprise businesses with quite large AR teams. So we've got about over 11,000 organisations using our products, and we integrate with many Sage products, including X3, 50, 100, Intact, BCA, 200, the whole shebang, as well as other ERPs as well. So we really do have a wealth of knowledge and resource internally to help customers across the board. So just to give you a little bit of an insight into some of the reasons why having an automated accounts receivables process in place is so important. So firstly, 1 in 10 invoices are paid late. So I've got absolutely no doubt that that's something all of you today would have experienced at one point or another. You know, if you're sending out high volumes of invoices every month, that's going to have a massive impact on your cash flow. And on the other end of the spectrum, those with lower volumes of invoices are impacted equally because you rely on that cash to run your business. Now, on the registration form for today's webinar, you were all asked a couple of questions, and one of them was, how many invoices or payments do you chase in a month? And 90% of you on the call today are chasing up to 200 invoices every single month. So if you then think about how many of these are actually paid on time and how many you then need to continuously chase, you can really start to see the sort of time it takes up on a monthly basis. Now, 93% of businesses experience late payments from their customers, so it really is a widespread issue globally. Because of that, we have customers in every single continent experiencing exactly the same problems. So that results in businesses spending, on average, a day a week chasing late payments. Now, another question that was asked during registration was how you chase for payments. And again, 90% of you on the call today are manually emailing and calling your customers to remind them. So that means you're spending a day a week or more purely on admin. So that's the running of aged debt reports, manually going through and chasing for payments. And that's what Credit Hound is all about, improving your efficiency and helping you get paid faster to improve your business's cash flow. Now, unfortunately, if they don't automate their accounts receivables, on average, companies end up writing off about 1.5% of their receivables as bad debt. So for a $50 million a year company, that's $750,000 wasted. So you can start now picturing the return on investment that Credit Hound can provide you as a business. Now, these are some examples of how some of our customers were dealing with their outstanding payments before implementing Credit Hound. And I'm sure as I go through, you'll be able to relate to these as well. So when we think about how we're going to start tackling our list of overdue invoices, one of the, in theory, most logical ways of chasing would be to prioritise the largest debt first. But what ends up happening is the smaller value invoices might never ever get chased, and that could even result in them getting written off. Similarly, chasing payments that are most overdue, again, theoretically, this would make sense, but this approach is extremely reactive and it will result in the newer invoices not being paid on time and then just falling further and further into the overdue category. So we'll just always end up chasing our tail. Having to increase overdrafts from the bank, or they have to borrow money just to simply keep the business afloat. And they end up writing off very old debt, which really is just throwing hard-earned cash straight down the drain. A lot of businesses we speak to as well, before Credit Hound, they end up employing more staff or outsourcing their collections to a third party, which is a really expensive way of dealing with the problem, because you end up paying more money, but you have the same process and therefore you have the same challenges. And in some cases, businesses can no longer offer credit to their customers due to a lack of cash flow. And that can really negatively impact customer loyalty and may make potential competitors seem more favourable. So what is Credit Hound and how can it help you? So ultimately, Credit Hound is all about streamlining your accounts receivables processes to ensure timely payments, reduce the amount of late payments, and maximize your cash flow. So picture it as having a little sidekick who handles all your credit management tasks, from chasing down late payments to keeping the cash flowing smoothly, so you can let Credit Hound do the heavy lifting while you focus on growing your business. So let's just take a look at this diagram here. Now, before Credit Hound, you're stuck in a cycle of chasing down late payments, spending countless hours managing your accounts receivables, and that's from anything like running age debt reports, struggling to keep your notes up to date, writing emails and letters, following up phone calls you've made previously, managing disputes. All of that causes such frustration, and it actually involves spending 80% of your time on admin and only 20% of your time actually chasing late payments. Whereas if you start using Credit Hound, you'll automate all of your admin heavy tasks, effortless chasing late payments, and ensure all invoices are chased and that they get paid on time. So with smoother cash flow and less stress, you're free to focus on what really matters, which is increasing your cash flow and achieving your business goals. So why Credit Hound and what does it do? So Credit Hound links seamlessly to Sage, so you don't have to duplicate or rekey any information whatsoever. We've got an automated multi-level chase cycle, which can pull through criteria based on analysis codes or custom fields within Sage, and then you can create categories within Credit Hound to ensure all of your customers are chased in the correct way. You know, it's not a one size fits all when it comes to chasing. So you can really customize that chasing cycle dependent on who you want to chase, the frequency, and various other factors as well. Now, all chase letters can include the relevant invoice or invoices as attachments within the email. And we can also set other logic, such as branding, if you're a multi-company organisation, for example. So it's extremely flexible to suit your business. The to-do list makes it so easy for the user to come in and see their workload for the day. So we can see all the steps taken to chase an invoice, and it allows you even to reassign tasks to other Credit Hound users. For example, if somebody is on holiday or if they're off sick. The chase screen allows you access to real-time account information and chase audit history. You can automate follow-up emails with reminders automatically being removed as soon as a customer pays or a dispute's resolved, so a paid invoice is never chased. The dispute tracking, so you can really introduce a clear process when logging disputes to ensure that they are communicated, followed up, and ultimately resolved on time with all of the relevant parties involved. Now, with all this really valuable information being put into Credit Hound on a daily basis, it only makes sense that we can then extract that and pull really comprehensive reports to enable you to then make informed decisions and really streamline your business. Now, as mentioned, the emails or letters or reports can be fully customized to be worded in a way that's relevant for your business and to include all branding, logos, etc. So we can simply edit your existing reports to ensure all communications are professional, consistent, and in line with your corporate identity. Now, our document distribution tool, Spindle Document Distribution, is installed alongside Credit Hound to manage the distribution process. So whether you want to email reminders, physically print them, fax them, archive them, or all of the above, we can configure it to suit your needs. Now, of course, return on investment is going to be absolutely key when you're considering implementing any new software. So we've made it extremely easy for you to calculate how much you can save annually. So on this example on the screen, a business with a $5 million annual turnover is able to save $70,000 a year. Now, feel free to go to our website, the link's on the screen right now, so you can calculate how much your specific business may be able to save. I think this presentation will be being sent out afterwards anyway, so feel free to get the link from there. But if you do want to visit tracer.com/calculator/Credit Hound, input your details, and you can see exactly how much money you can save as a business. So let's take a look at Credit Hound in action. Bear with me one moment because my VM has clearly just gone to sleep. It's early in the morning here in the UK, so we can forgive it for having a little cat nap. Okay, there we go. So, Credit Hound. Now, what you're looking at here is the main dashboard. Okay, so this is when you log into Credit Hound, this is going to be your main screen. Now, you'll notice that it sits outside of Sage 300 or Sage X3, whichever it is that you're using, and yet you access it via this little logo down here, your Credit Hound icon. Okay. Now, looking at the dashboard, we've got an insight into all of our key metrics. Okay. So we can see exactly how much outstanding money we have, how much of that is not yet due, how much is overdue, and also by how long as well. So we can really take a deeper dive into our receivables. All of this is interactive. So if I want to just click on my 120-day-old debt, I can click into that and I'll be presented with a list of all of my customers and information about them with invoices over the 120-day mark. So if I wanted to, I could then export that information to Excel and I've got a very quick and easy report. But I'll just close that for now. That was just to show you that we can, go into each of these interactively. Now, what I can also see is who has paid me in the last 7 days. I can see a list of any disputes that I have ongoing. I can see a complete to-do list. I'll show you a nicer way to see that in a moment. We can see who has our money, where our money is sitting. So this large red segment here is our overdue money. So we can see that we've got over 1.1 million overdue, which is equating to 63% of our receivables. So that's clearly a problem that we need to solve. The idea is we want to bring all of this red into the green. That's the goal. So how do we do that? So we'll set up with you a number of rules to chase your customers. Now, this is a pretty straightforward chasing cycle that I have here, but I'm just going to talk you through each individual chase. So the idea is, and again, if you think about your accounts receivables process, if you think about when you start to chase a customer for a late payment, most customers we speak to don't have the time to be proactive. They don't have the time to remind customers before their invoice is due. And so what happens is they start chasing them when it's already, 2, 3, 4, 5 days overdue. So that means then if that customer then has a dispute or, wants a copy of the invoice, whatever it might be, then we're just losing even more time whilst we solve that dispute or whilst we send what we need to send. So with Credit Hound, what you can do is automate preemptive reminders. And so, a few days or a week before the invoice is due, you can send a very friendly, polite reminder letting them know that an invoice is becoming due and when it's due to be paid. And you can even include a copy of the invoice, so we eliminate the excuse of I didn't receive the invoice. Okay, we can send these emails or reminders to multiple contacts, so we can ensure that the age-old excuse of it went to a colleague and not myself, we can eliminate that as well, because it can go to all of the relevant contacts at an organisation, and you could even copy yourselves in as well. Okay, but what that's going to do for us in sending a preemptive reminder is if there is a dispute, so if they're saying, let's use the example of they've not received an item. So if they're disputing that invoice, we've got 5 days to solve that in this case, because you can see in the parameters that we've set up, this is going out to any undisputed outstanding invoices due in the next 5 days. So we've bought ourselves 5 days to still get paid on time. Okay. Now, if that payment doesn't get made on time, what will happen is, again, at set parameters, which are completely customizable, another email will go out. You can see that it's gone from very mild wording to moderate wording. Okay. And that's going to remind them once again that they've not paid their invoice and they need to make a payment. Now, if that invoice then gets paid, that's fine. That will be removed from the chasing cycle, so they will receive no further communications. However, if that invoice still doesn't get paid, what's then going to happen is a more strongly worded email is going to go out to them. Again, this has gone to 30 days overdue. Now, at this point, some organisations will then pass this on to a legal team. So what we do with our rules is every rule has an action. Now, in these rules here, the action is to email the customer. But you could have it set up so, when we get to the final warning, an email is triggered to a legal representative or a legal company that you work with, your own legal team, whatever it might be, to then begin action. So Credit Hound takes care of the whole cycle. Now, with this final rule here, this is the telephone chasing list. So this rule puts accounts into my to-do list instead of emailing the customer. And that's because 3 emails have been sent out and the customer still hasn't paid us. So we need to speak to this person and find out why they're not paying the invoice, what's wrong. It's been over 30 days, well, in fact, over 50 days for this one. So what I'll do, I'll run this manually, but of course, in a real life scenario, this would just run automatically. If I hit run, and if I then go to my calendar, what I'll see are my tasks for the day. So because I ran that telephone chasing list, any invoice that's over 50 days overdue is going to be in my to-do call list. Okay, so I can view this in my calendar, or I can view it in a list format here. It really is up to you which one you use. They show exactly the same information. It's just personal preference as to which screen you use. Personally, I prefer the calendar view just because it's in line with Outlook, and it can also integrate with Outlook as well. So the reminders will appear there as well as in here. So if we just look at the calendar for a moment, so we can see that they're color coded, each of these tasks. So our automated to-do tasks are color coded in purple. Our callbacks are in blue. Our dispute resolves are in red, and dispute reviews are in yellow. So it just makes it really clear and easy for whoever's doing this to log in and see what their tasks are for the week. Now, as a manager, I might have a team of people using Credit Hound. Okay. Now, if one of my team are off sick, those follow-ups still need to be done. So I can simply select these follow-ups and assign them to another user if I wanted to. So it's perfect if you've got, large teams of people, because it's very quick and easy to reassign tasks. And each user as well you can set it so that they only look after and chase specific accounts. So if they're split up by, territory, region, alphabetically, however the account assignments are done, then each collections person has their own pool of customers that they chase. Okay, so there's a lot of flexibility there. Now, what I'll do, so I'll log in for the day, I'll see my tasks, and I will start to chase them up. So I'll click on my first one. I can see any notes, information that was input, and I'll then want to chase this account. Now this brings us into our chase screen. Okay, now what I can see here is a list of all transactions. Okay, so clearly green are just not due yet, so we don't need to worry about those. We can see credit notes and also our overdue invoices as well. Now, if I click onto a transaction, I'm able to see a full list of notes that have been added within Credit Hound. So any disputes, any phone call notes, that kind of thing. So we can see invoices raised by mistake. We've raised a credit note but not allocated. So again, if you've got multiple users and someone is off sick, you're able to see all of their notes and history. If you're doing an internal audit, everything is kept within Credit Hound, which is great, makes it super easy. Now, the next thing I'll point out here is this nice big red banner showing us that this customer is on stop. Okay, so when I run this rule, what happens is any overdue invoices over 50 days automatically get put on stop. Okay, they don't have to, but in this example, we have set that rule up. You can have that rule set on different days if you want to, or you can choose not to have it at all. Now, when a customer goes on stop in Credit Hound, that feeds back into Sage as well. If I wanted to remove the stop, I can do, and again, that removes them within Credit Hound as well, or I can just pop them back on stop. Okay. Now, at this point, I'm going to want to chase this customer, and I've got all the information I could possibly need to do that. So I've got their contact details. If I need to be prepared with any information whilst I'm on the phone call, I've got their age debt, their turnover, a copy of all their disputes, any notes we've put on the account, all the information I could possibly need is there. So what I would do before I pick up the phone, I'm just going to hit the Start Chase button. Okay, what that's done is it started a timer in the bottom right hand corner, which I'll come on to shortly as to why that's useful. So if I only want to speak to the customer about this invoice here, okay, so I pick up the phone and I speak to Maureen Duffy, okay, and I ask her, where is the payment for this invoice? You owe us £12,308. And she might give us a reason as to why she's not paid, and she might say something like, it's going to be in the next payment run. And I'll say, great, well, and then I'm given suggested objections. So she says it's in the next payment run. Well, we need to get the date of that payment run. So when will it be? Backdate 1 day before the check run and call to make sure we're on the run. So we've got some suggestions as to what we need to do next. Okay. Now, she may choose to pay us the whole amount, or she may only be paying us a small amount. For this particular example, I'm just going to stick to the entirety. Okay. And if we got the date for the next payment run, let's say she said on Friday. Now, I've got the option to create a reminder here. Okay, so if that payment doesn't get made, there will be a reminder put into my calendar to call her again. If that payment does get made, that reminder is automatically removed. Okay, so you're never going to be chasing a paid invoice. Now, once I'm happy with that, I can hit Stop Chase and finish, and then I can move on to my next task. Okay, so if I come back into the chase screen again, so that was a very straightforward, easy call. I've managed to get her to promise to pay us £12,300, but it's not always that easy, unfortunately. So let's take a look at an example of if I was to speak to a customer and they decided that they're raising a dispute. Okay, so let's take this invoice here as an example. So I've started the chase again and they want to dispute. Okay, so let's go with goods 40 as an example. So they've told us that the goods that they received from us are 40. Now, these different reasons here are going to be different for every business. So just think about your own reasons for disputes internally, and of course, just replace those in your mind with these. So goods 40. Okay. Now, what I'm prompted to do is put in some client notes. So whilst I'm on the phone to the client, I'm just going to say that the, I don't know, kitchen door received had a, I don't know, a chunk of wood missing. There we go. But so that's the client notes. Now, my internal notes, because I'm just in charge of, you know, looking after the AR, I'm not going to get involved in, you know, customer service and warehouse and things like that. So I'll then pass that on to somebody internally. So need to send a replacement door, and yeah, let's leave it at that just to keep things simple. So they're disputing the entire amount. The review date is the 19th of March. So what we're doing here is introducing an SLA to this dispute, because when a customer complains or disputes an invoice, they want to know that it's been taken seriously and being handled. So what we do by introducing SLAs is we set a precedent for, you know, when we're going to have this looked at by and when we aim to have it resolved by. So the customer feels like, you know, it's in hand, we know what we're doing, we know when we're reviewing, and we know when we're going to have it resolved. So if I set a review date, yeah, so we'll keep that as in a week's time, and we aim to have it resolved by, because of delivery times, let's say that Friday. Okay. Now, as I say, I'm just looking after the collections or the accounts receivables. I'm not actually going to manage the dispute. So what I can do is assign this dispute to somebody else internally. So it might be that we want to let David Owens, the customer services manager, know, but we also want to copy the dispute to Gary, the warehouse manager, so he can help find a replacement door. Okay, it might also be that we want to include the sales director and the managing director, so we can copy a number of people in, and these people don't have to be Credit Hound users, and they don't have to even be Sage users, just anyone in the organization. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll save that, we'll stop that chase. Now, I am then asked if I want to include this customer in automated letters or exclude them. Now, because they've raised a dispute and they were very upset about the fact that their door had a chunk of wood missing, I'm now going to exclude them from automated reminders because I don't want to keep chasing them whilst this is in the dispute process. So I can finish that. Now, I'm then prompted to send a reminder to the client of what was discussed in our phone call. So it's a notification of the dispute, and then to also send internal copies of the dispute to the relevant people as well. So I'll hit finish, and then I can see a version here of the dispute notification. Now I will print that to Spindle, and I will just come into my emails quickly to show you what that looks like. So this is what would be sent. Okay, so this is the customer copy. So you can see we've got our nice branding on here. We've got some promotional messaging. The body of the email looks, you know, nice. It's in line with branding. I can open up the letter and see it in PDF format. But of course, if you have got customers who don't like to do things via email, everything that's done from Credit Hound, such as the chase letters, the dispute notifications, etc., they can all be physically printed as well. Okay. And then also we do include a copy of the invoice on every single communication as well. Okay. And you can have things like terms and conditions of sale, etc. on there. You could have pay now buttons to enable your customers just to click a button and pay very quickly. Let's close that. Okay, so that's your dispute notifications. Now, whilst we're in my emails, I will just quickly show you what the reminder letters look like as well. So this is an example of a preemptive reminder. So this is the initial very friendly reminder that goes out. So you can see in the wording that it's very polite, very friendly. We're not threatening or anything like that. Again, we have promotional messaging. Now, this can be adjusted depending on who the recipient is and that kind of thing as well. So they get a PDF copy of the letter. Okay, and they can see all of their invoices that are due, and we also include an attachment of the invoice as well, as I say, on every single communication, because I know that that's a big objection from customers, is that they haven't got a copy of the invoice. So we really do eradicate that by including it on every communication. Okay. So that's your dispute notification done, and there we go. We move on to the next task. So there is a very straightforward case of ring the customer, they say they're going to pay us on this date, great, and that move on. And then we have a more challenging one of, you know, they've received faulty goods. Okay, so we've had to raise a dispute. Now, finally, and one of my favourite parts of Credit Hound is the reporting. So we've got really comprehensive built-in reports. You can see there's a huge list here of different reports you can get. Now, as I pointed out the little timer on the chase screen that was in the bottom right-hand corner, this is where that's going to become really, really useful, because we can run a user activity report, which is going to tell us how many accounts we've chased. So if we want to understand, and I for one am quite a competitive person, so you know, if there's a team of people, you can start to introduce quite good competitions and team incentives and things like that based off this. So we can see how many accounts we've chased, how long we've spent chasing each account, and there's a few good reasons why we have that as well. So, for example, if we're spending a particularly large amount of time chasing one customer, well, that to us dictates that there's an issue with that customer. Why are we having to spend so long getting them to pay us? You know, could it be that we need to introduce deposits? Do we need to change their payment terms? Whatever it might be, but it gives us a bit more of an insight. We can also see how much each user has managed to get promised in, how much each user has got paid this week, the amount of disputes that they're dealing with, the total amount of time that they've spent chasing, so not just on an account level, but on a you know, a weekly level, and we can see all the chase history as well. Every bit of information is in here, and we can also see a breakdown of any emails, automatic emails that have gone out. Okay, so that's your user activity report. Now, if I'm a manager or a financial director and all I care about is wanting to see how much cash have we got promised in, I can just run the promised cash report, and very quickly and easily I can see how much money we've got due in this week, next week, and further on in the future. And also, if I wanted to look at it a bit further, I could also see the reasons for these as well. Okay. Now, I find this report here, the dispute analysis report, really, really useful, because I think it's quite powerful, the sort of information we get from this. So, of course, when I logged that dispute earlier, it was because goods are faulty. So by looking at this dispute analysis report, I can see, so goods faulty is our purple segment. That's equating to 77% of our disputes and about £62,000. So that's clearly a huge problem for us. And that tells us that we might need to then look at, you know, the quality of the goods that we're sending out. Now, if I then scroll down a little bit further, and if I start looking at how long it takes us to resolve each dispute, well, actually, goods faulty, whilst it's our biggest problem, but cash has only been withheld from us for 4 days. It only takes us 4 days to resolve that. Whereas goods not received is taking us 24 days. So that's a bigger issue in the way of, you know, the length of time it takes for us to resolve it. That's cash being withheld from us for almost a month. Okay, so that tells us that we need to look at how we're delivering these goods. And then, of course, the other reasons are all in there as well. So that's a really useful report. Now, I could spend ages going through each and every one of these reports, but there's, you know, there's something for everybody here. If you just want to see a detailed report of your accounts, then you can run the accounts report. You can do a transaction dossier if you wanted to. So some of these reports are really, really, really detailed. It's really up to you to use them how you want to. Okay, but that in a nutshell is Credit Hound. So let me jump back into my slides. So our customer feedback for Credit Hound is absolutely phenomenal. And I just wanted to include some on the screen for you to take a little look at. So whatever a business's reasons are for wanting to improve their cash flow, whether that's to support the growth of the business, to reduce workload for staff, or prevent needing to hire extra staff, you name it, we've helped them achieve it. Now, our retention rate for Credit Hound is about 98%. So once people start using it, they quickly realise the impact it has, not just on the accounts department, but the rest of the business as well. So that brings me to a conclusion right on time. We've got 15 minutes now for a little Q&A. So Lynn, have we had any questions as we've gone through?
Tyler, so let me take over the sharing for now.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Tyler, can you see my screen right now?
Yes. Oh, no.